They brought an alpha pup to the infirmary. Now the entire garrison sleeps outside her door. The alarm screamed through Station Epsilon 7. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Something was coming in fast, and it wasn't friendly fire they were worried about. It was what came with it. Corporal Hannah Park lay on the stretcher, her uniform soaked dark with blood. Her face was pale, too pale. The medics ran beside her, shouting numbers and medical terms that meant nothing to the soldiers watching. But everyone understood one thing. She was dying. Behind the stretcher, something massive moved through the station doors. It walked on 4 legs, each one thick as a tree trunk. Its scales were deep purple, almost black in the dim light. The head was enormous, filled with teeth that could bite through metal. The creature's eyes glowed yellow in the darkness. Everyone knew what it was. An Alpha Krell, a monster from the death world of Krell Prime. The Vraxi soldiers, the tall reptilian ones who usually feared nothing, stepped back. Their hands went to their weapons. One of them whispered a prayer in his native tongue. He had seen what these creatures could do. His home colony had been destroyed by one 20 years ago. But this Krell was young, maybe only 2 years old. Still, it was already bigger than a ground vehicle, and it was following Hannah Park like a shadow. "Get that thing out of here," Commander Taeyang Quan shouted. He was Vraxi, with green scales and cold eyes that had seen 1,000 battles. Now, the creature stopped. Its head lowered. Those yellow eyes focused on the commander, and for a moment everyone held their breath. The Krell could kill them all in seconds if it wanted to. Instead, it sat down. Right there in the corridor, it sat like an obedient animal. But its eyes never left the stretcher carrying Hannah. Dr. Minji Choi ran from the medical bay, her blue skin marking her as Centauri. She was the best doctor on the station, and she had seen many strange things, but this made her stop and stare. "We need to operate now," she said, looking at Hannah's wounds. "But that creature—" "I'll handle it," Commander Quan said. He raised his weapon. The Krell's eyes snapped to him. A low sound came from its throat like thunder rolling across mountains. The floor vibrated. Small cracks appeared in the walls. "Don't," said a weak voice. Everyone turned. Hannah had opened her eyes just barely. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth when she spoke. "Don't hurt Bora," she whispered. "Please, she saved me." "Bora," Dr. Minji repeated. "You named it?" Hannah's hand moved, reaching out toward the creature. "She's mine. I raised her." "She's good, please." Then Hannah's eyes closed again. The medical equipment screamed warnings. Dr. Minji cursed and pushed the stretcher through the doors into the medical bay. The doors sealed shut behind them. The Krell Bora stood up. She moved toward the doors. Soldiers raised their weapons, but she ignored them. She pressed her massive head against the transparent material and looked through. Inside, the medical team was cutting away Hannah's uniform, preparing for emergency surgery. Bora made a sound. It was soft, almost like a whine. She pawed at the door gently, careful not to break it. "Someone explain this to me," Commander Quan demanded. Now, a soldier stepped forward. Sergeant Jiwon Lee, human, with short black hair and tired eyes. She had been Hannah's squad mate for 3 years. "Sir, Hannah found the creature 6 months ago," Jiwon said. "On that reconnaissance mission to the Kelos moon. She was supposed to be alone out there for 3 months. And she brought back a Krell?" The commander's voice was ice cold. "She found it abandoned, sir. Just a newborn left to die. You know how Krell broods work. The weak ones get left behind." Jiwon glanced at Bora. "Hannah couldn't leave it. That's just who she is. So she violated every regulation and raised an apex predator in secret? She kept it at the remote outpost, sir. Trained it. Taught it commands. Bora only knows Hannah. She imprinted on her as a hatchling." Commander Quan looked at the creature sitting by the door. Bora hadn't moved since the doors closed. She just watched through the glass, her yellow eyes tracking every movement of the medical team. "What happened today?" he asked. "Building collapsed during the rescue mission on Terrace 4, Jiwon explained. Hannah was pulling civilians from a damaged structure when it came down on her. Broke her legs, crushed her ribs, internal bleeding. She was 30 kilometers from the nearest transport point. How did she get here?" Jiwon's voice softened. "Bora carried her. Through hostile terrain, past enemy patrols, through a radiation zone. 30 kilometers with Hannah on her back. The creature didn't stop once. When she got here, she wouldn't let the first response team near Hannah until Hannah told her it was okay." The commander said nothing. He watched Bora sit there perfectly still except for her eyes. Those eyes never stopped tracking Hana's location inside the medical bay. Lieutenant Daeho Shin, a Vraxi tactical officer, walked up beside the commander. He had been recording everything with his personal device. "Sir, I've never seen behavior like this from a Krell," Daeho said. "They're pure predators. No pack structure, no loyalty, no restraint. But this one? She's showing judgment, control, even emotion." "It's a monster," Commander Kwan said. "Maybe," Daeho replied. "Or maybe it's something new." Inside the medical bay, Dr. Minji worked fast. Hana had lost too much blood. Her heart was struggling. The damage was worse than they thought. "We're losing her," one of the nurses said. Outside, Bora's head lifted. Her entire body went rigid. "What's happening?" A soldier asked. "I don't know." "How could she—" Bora stood up. The sound that came from her was something none of them had heard before. It wasn't a roar. It was a wail, high and piercing and full of pain. The frequency made the windows shake. Equipment rattled on the walls. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Minji's hands froze. The monitors showed something impossible. Hana's neural activity had spiked. Her brain patterns were stabilizing. "What just happened?" Dr. Minji whispered. A nurse checked the readings. "I don't know. It's like something shocked her system back into balance." Outside, Bora's wail faded. She sat back down, but she was shaking. Her whole massive body trembled like she was cold. Commander Kwan stared at the creature. "It knew," he said quietly. "It knew she was dying. The surgery took 5 hours. During all that time, Bora didn't move. Soldiers came and went, changing shifts, but the creature stayed. Some of them started to feel sorry for her. One soldier, Private Yuna Kim, left a piece of her dinner near Bora. The creature sniffed it but didn't eat. When Dr. Minji finally emerged, everyone turned to her. She looked exhausted. "She'll live," the doctor said. But it was close. Very close. Bora's head rose. She looked at Dr. Minji with those yellow eyes. "The creature," Dr. Minji said slowly, "somehow helped. That sound it made, the frequency, it actually stabilized Hana's neural activity. I don't understand it, but it might have saved her life." Commander Kwan looked at Bora. The creature looked back at him. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. "I have to report this to High Command," the commander said. "They'll want the creature destroyed." "It's protocol." "Sir," Jiwan started. "I know," he interrupted. "But those are the rules. An Alpha Krell cannot be allowed near populated areas. I don't make the rules, Sergeant." That night, as the station slept, Bora remained at her post. And as the first morning light hit the station's windows, soldiers started arriving with their sleeping gear. They set up outside the medical bay surrounding Bora. Jiwan was the first. Then Daeho, then Yuna, then more. Humans, Vraxi, Centauri. All of them laying down their sleeping bags in a circle around the creature who refused to leave. If Bora was watching over Hana, then they would watch over Bora. Commander Kwan saw them when he made his morning rounds. He said nothing. He just added one more note to his report for High Command. Then he went to get his own sleeping bag. The vigil had begun. They brought an alpha pup to the infirmary. Now the entire garrison sleeps outside her door. 3 days passed. Bora hadn't moved from her spot outside the medical bay doors. She hadn't eaten more than a few bites. She barely slept. Her yellow eyes stayed fixed on the transparent doors, watching the doctors and nurses move around inside. Sergeant Jiwan Lee sat next to the massive creature, close enough to feel the heat radiating from her purple scales. At first, Jiwan had been terrified. But after 3 days of watching Bora just sit there patient and quiet, the fear had faded. "She's still sleeping," Jiwan said softly, talking about Hana. "The doctor says that's good. Her body needs to heal." Bora's ear twitched. That was the only sign she had heard. Her eyes didn't move from the doors. Jiwan had brought food again. Real meat from the station stores, cooked the way Hana had mentioned Bora liked it. She pushed the plate closer to the creature. "You need to eat," Jiwan said. "Hana would be angry if you got sick." Bora's head turned slightly. Those huge yellow eyes looked at Jiwan, then at the food. But she didn't move toward it. Jiwan sighed. She cut a piece of the meat and ate it herself, chewing slowly. "See, it's safe. Good food." Only then did Bora lower her head. She took the meat gently, barely using her teeth. She ate slowly, like it was a chore. Then she returned to watching the doors. "Good girl," Jiwan whispered. More soldiers had joined the vigil. The corridor outside the medical bay had become a camp. Sleeping bags lined the walls. Small groups sat together talking quietly or playing cards. Some worked on their equipment. Others just watched Bora, fascinated by this creature that should have been a mindless killer. Lieutenant Daeho Shin had set up recording equipment. He documented everything Bora did, every movement, every sound, every reaction. He had sent his reports to universities across 3 systems. Scientists were begging to come study this impossible creature. She knows at least 30 Korean words, Daeho told a group of soldiers. Watch this, he pointed to the left. Bora, look. The creature's head turned left, he pointed right. Look. She turned right. Sit. She was already sitting, but she adjusted her position, sitting up straighter. The soldiers murmured in amazement. One of them, a young Vraxi named Hyun, stepped closer. Can I touch her? Hyun asked nervously. Ask her, Daeho said. Show her your hand first. Let her smell you. Hyun held out his scaled hand slowly. Bora's nostrils flared as she sniffed. Then very carefully she lowered her massive head. Hyun placed his hand on her snout. The scales were warm and surprisingly smooth. She's not so scary, Hyun said, surprised. She's just worried. She's very intelligent, Daeho said. More than we ever thought possible for her species. Hana didn't just raise her. She taught her, showed her a different way to be. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Minji Choi checked Hana's vital signs. Everything looked better. The surgeries had been successful. Hana's bones were mending with the help of advanced medical technology. The internal bleeding had stopped, but she remained unconscious, her body using all its energy to heal. Private Yuna Kim, one of the medical staff, glanced at the doors. She could see Bora's shadow through the transparent material. Doctor, Yuna said, should we tell the creature that Hana's improving? Dr. Minji looked up. Tell it? Yuna, it's an animal. I know, but I think she understands. Yesterday, when you said Hana's heart rate was good, the creature relaxed. I saw it, Dr. Minji frowned. She walked to the doors and looked out at Bora. The creature immediately focused on her, waiting. Your human is doing better, Dr. Minji said clearly. Hana is healing. She'll be okay. Bora's entire body seemed to sag with relief. The tension in her shoulders eased. She made a soft rumbling sound, almost like a purr. Dr. Minji's eyes widened. By the stars, she whispered. She really does understand. From that moment on, the medical staff started giving Bora regular updates. Every few hours, someone would come to the doors and report on Hana's condition. Bora listened to every word, but on the 3rd night, something went wrong. Hana's body started rejecting the synthetic blood they had given her. Her immune system, damaged by the trauma, suddenly went into crisis. Alarms blared throughout the medical bay. Dr. Minji and her team rushed to stabilize her. Outside, Bora erupted from her resting position. She slammed against the doors, making them shake in their frames. The sound she made was desperate, terrified. Soldiers scrambled out of the way as Bora paced back and forth, her claws scraping the floor. She tried to look through the doors, but the medical staff had closed the privacy screens. She couldn't see Hana. Someone stop her, Commander Kwan shouted, arriving at the scene. She'll break through. No, wait, Jiwon yelled. She ran forward, putting herself between Bora and the doors. Bora, stop. Sit, the creature's wild eyes found Jiwon. For a moment, it looked like Bora might go through her to get to Hana. But then she sat, shaking all over, making desperate whining sounds. Good girl, Jiwon said, her voice shaking. Good girl. They're helping her. The doctors are helping Hana. You have to wait. You have to be good. Bora's head swung toward the doors again. Another whine escaped her throat. Jiwon did something crazy. She sat down right in front of Bora and placed her hand on the creature's massive foot. I'm scared too, she said. Hana's my friend. My best friend. But we have to trust the doctors, okay? We have to be strong for her. The creature looked down at the small human touching her. Slowly, the shaking stopped. Bora lowered her head until it was level with Jiwon's. They stayed like that, human and Krell, both terrified for the same person. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Minji worked frantically. Hana's heart had stopped. They shocked her once, twice, 3 times. Come on, Dr. Minji growled. Don't you dare die. Not after everything. Outside, Bora suddenly threw her head back and released that same high-pitched wail from 3 days ago. The frequency shook the walls. Windows cracked. Equipment fell from shelves, and inside the medical bay, Hana's heart monitor beeped. Once, twice, regular rhythm. We have her back. Yuna shouted. Dr. Minji's hands were shaking. She looked at the doors where that wail had come from. The creature did it again. That sound, it's like a cardiac stimulator. How is that possible? Maybe Krell's developed it to wake their young, one of the nurses suggested. A survival mechanism. Or maybe, Dr. Minji said slowly, this one learned to control it. Learned to help instead of hurt. She opened the privacy screens and went to the doors. Bora was still standing, still shaking, her eyes desperate. She's alive, Dr. Minji said clearly. Hana's alive. You saved her again. Bora's legs seemed to give out. She collapsed onto the floor, her massive sides heaving. Ji-won wrapped her arms around the creature's neck as much as she could reach. It's okay, Ji-won whispered. She's okay. We're all okay. Commander Kwon watched from down the corridor. Lieutenant Daeho stood beside him. The creature loves her, Daeho said quietly. Real love. I didn't think that was possible between such different species. High Command sent their orders, the commander said, his voice heavy. The tribunal is scheduled for 5 days from now. They'll decide if the creature lives or dies. And if they decide she dies? Commander Kwon looked at all the soldiers sitting in the corridor. Humans, Vraxi, Centauri, even a few others. All of them had chosen to stay here to be part of this vigil. All of them watching over a creature that should have been their enemy. Then we might have a problem, the commander said, because I don't think these soldiers will let that happen without a fight. That night, more soldiers joined the vigil. They brought blankets and pillows. They brought food for Bora. They brought stories about their own pets and companions from home. They sat around the creature and talked softly, keeping her company while she kept watch over Hana. Private Yuna brought a brush and carefully started grooming Bora's scales. The creature didn't object. She just sat there letting the small human care for her. Your family now, Yuna said softly. All of us here, we're your family too. Not just Hana, all of us. Bora's rumbling purr filled the corridor. It was the first peaceful sound she had made in 3 days. They brought an alpha pup to the infirmary. Now the entire garrison sleeps outside her door. On the 5th day, Hana's eyes opened. The first thing she did was whisper a single word. Bora? Dr. Minji smiled. She had expected this. Your creature is right outside. She hasn't left. Can I see her? Hana's voice was weak, but the desperation in it was strong. You're not ready to move. Your bones are still healing, but, Dr. Minji hesitated. Your vital signs have been strange. Your heart rate is too fast. Your stress hormones are elevated. You should be recovering better than this. I need to see her, Hana said. Tears formed in her eyes. Please, I need to know she's okay. I need to see Bora. Dr. Minji looked at her patient. As a doctor, she knew this was irregular. But as someone who had watched that creature wait for 5 days straight, she understood. I'll bring you to the window, Dr. Minji decided. Just for a moment. They moved Hana's bed carefully, wheeling it close to the transparent doors. Dr. Minji opened the privacy screens. Outside, Bora was sleeping, curled up as much as a creature her size could curl. Sergeant Ji-won was asleep too, leaning against Bora's side. At least 20 other soldiers were scattered around the corridor, all sleeping in their bags. Bora, Hana called out weakly. The creature's eyes snapped open instantly. Her head shot up. When she saw Hana awake, looking at her, Bora scrambled to her feet. She rushed to the doors and pressed her massive snout against the transparent material. Hana lifted her bandaged hand and placed it on the glass where Bora's nose was. Good girl, she whispered. Such a good girl. I'm okay. I'm here. Bora made sounds, small whining noises that were almost like crying. Her whole body wagged like a happy dog, but 1,000 times bigger. Around them, soldiers woke up. They saw Hana awake and started cheering. Ji-won ran to the door, grinning with tears in her eyes. You scared us, Ji-won said. You really scared us. I'm sorry, Hana said. Then she looked at Bora again. Did she eat? Did she sleep? Barely, Ji-won admitted. She's been waiting for you. Hana kept her hand on the glass. She could feel the warmth of Bora through the barrier. Her heart monitor, which had been racing, started to slow down. The stress readings dropped. Dr. Minji watched the numbers change in real time. Remarkable, the doctor whispered. The creature calms you down. Your body relaxes when you see her. She's my family, Hana said simply. My heart knows she's here. Later that day, when Hana was resting again, Ji-won sat with her. The medical bay was quiet. It was just the two of them. Tell me how it started, Jiwon said. Tell me about finding her. Hana smiled even though it hurt. The Kalos moon was supposed to be empty. Just rocks and dust. But I found a krell nest in one of the caves. The brood had left, moving on like they do. But there was one egg left behind. Broken. Abandoned. And you couldn't just leave it, Jiwon said, knowing her friend. She was so small when she hatched, Hana continued. Barely bigger than my hand. Purple scales like a little jewel. She was the runt. Too weak to keep up with the others. Left to die because that's how krells survive. But you changed that. I gave her food. Kept her warm. She was scared at first, tried to bite me. But I was patient. I spoke to her in Korean, the language my grandmother taught me. Soft words. Kind words. Eventually, she stopped being afraid. Hana's eyes got distant, remembering. It took weeks before she trusted me. But once she did, she never left my side. I taught her commands. Taught her right from wrong. When she tried to attack the local wildlife for fun, I stopped her. Showed her we only hunt when hungry. Only take what we need. You made her different from other krells, Jiwon said. I showed her another way to live, Hana corrected. She's still a krell. Still strong, still dangerous. But she chooses to be gentle. That's the important part. She chooses. A new person arrived at the station that afternoon. Dr. Sumin Han, a human xenobiologist from Central Command. She was young, excited, and carrying enough recording equipment to film a documentary. Where is she? Dr. Sumin asked immediately. Where's the Alpha Krell? Lieutenant Daeho smiled. Right this way. But move slowly. Don't startle her. When Dr. Sumin saw Bora, she stopped breathing for a moment. The creature was magnificent. Powerful muscles under those purple scales. Eyes that showed intelligence and emotion. And she was young. Still growing. She could become enormous, Dr. Sumin whispered. Adult alpha krells can grow 3 times this size. If she reaches full maturity, she'll be the biggest thing on this station, Daeho finished. We know. May I? Dr. Sumin asked, gesturing toward Bora. Ask her permission first, Daeho said. Dr. Sumin approached slowly, showing her hands. Hello, Bora, I'm Sumin. Can I come closer? Bora tilted her head, studying this new human. Then she looked at Daeho, who nodded. Bora seemed to decide this was okay. She lowered her head in what looked like permission. Over the next 2 days, Dr. Sumin studied everything. She measured Bora's responses, tested her intelligence, analyzed her behavior patterns. What she found amazed her. Krells are far smarter than we thought, Dr. Sumin told Commander Kwan. We classified them as animals because they act on instinct in the wild, but that's because they never had a reason to be more. Bora had Hana. She had a teacher, someone who showed her love and boundaries. So you're saying any krell could become like this? The commander asked. No, Dr. Sumin said carefully. It has to happen young. Very young. Before their predator instincts fully develop, and it requires someone patient enough to teach them. Someone like Hana. She pulled up images on her tablet. Brain scans of Bora compared to wild krells. Look at this. Her brain structure is different. The parts responsible for social bonding, for emotional connection, they're more developed. She's not just trained. She's evolved. Emotionally evolved. Commander Kwan stared at the scans. The tribunal is tomorrow. What should I tell them? Tell them, Dr. Sumin said firmly, that Bora represents the most important xenobiological discovery in a century. She proves that even the most dangerous species can change, can grow, can become something better. That evening, Hana was strong enough to sit up. Dr. Minji allowed her to have visitors. Jiwon came and Daeho and Yuna and others. They told her about the vigil, about all the soldiers who had stayed, about how Bora had become the station's guardian. They want to take her away, Hana said quietly. The tribunal tomorrow. They'll decide she's too dangerous. Maybe, Jiwon said. Or maybe they'll see what we all see. That she's special. I won't let them hurt her, Hana said, her voice getting stronger. I don't care what they decide. Bora is mine. I'm hers. That's not changing. Outside, Bora was playing gently with some of the soldiers. Private Hyan had brought a large ball, and Bora was carefully nudging it back and forth with her snout. She could have popped it with one claw, but she was being so careful. When the ball rolled toward a sleeping soldier, Bora stopped it with her foot, making sure not to wake anyone. She's learning empathy, Dr. Sumin said, recording everything. Watch how she adjusts her strength. How she checks before moving. This isn't training. This is understanding. She knows these people care about her, so she cares back. Commander Kwan watched from his office window. Below, he could see the crowd gathered around the creature. His soldiers. His people. They had accepted this monster into their family. They trusted her. Tomorrow he would have to defend that trust to people who had never met Bora. People who only saw the statistics. The death counts from Krell attacks over the centuries. The destroyed colonies. The lost lives. How could he explain that this one was different? That a dying human had changed everything by choosing compassion over fear? He didn't know. But he would try. That night, Hana asked Dr. Minji for one more thing. Can you open the communication panel? I want to talk to her. Dr. Minji activated the speaker system. Hana's voice carried into the corridor. Bora, Hana called. Come here, baby. Bora rushed to the doors. Her tail, thick as a pillar, wagged back and forth. I love you, Hana said in Korean. You saved me. You're so brave, so good. Tomorrow might be hard. People might be scared. But I need you to be good, okay? Show them how special you are. Bora pressed against the glass. That deep purring rumble filled the corridor. That's my girl, Hana whispered. That's my good girl. They brought an alpha pup to the infirmary. Now the entire garrison sleeps outside her door. The tribunal council arrived early in the morning. 5 members from 5 different species. They gathered in the main assembly hall, their faces serious. They had seen the reports. They knew what they were here to judge. Commander Kwan stood before them. Behind him on screens played footage of Bora. The creature sitting patiently, playing gently with soldiers, responding to commands, but also footage of wild Krells destroying settlements, killing hundreds. The council needed to see both sides. This creature is classified as an existential threat, said Councillor Rayon, a Vraxi elder with gray scales. My own colony was destroyed by an alpha Krell 40 years ago. I lost my family, my children, everything. His voice shook with old pain. I watched that monster kill without mercy, without hesitation. And you ask me to believe this one is different? Yes, Commander Kwan said simply. Because she is. Dr. Suman Han stood up next. She presented her research. The brain scans. The behavioral analysis. The proof that Bora had developed differently because of Hana's influence. This isn't just training, Dr. Suman explained. This is evolution. Emotional evolution. Bora has formed bonds that wild Krells cannot form. She has learned empathy. Choice love. Love? Councillor Rayon's laugh was bitter. Monsters don't love. Then what do you call a creature that carried a wounded human 30 kilometers through danger? Dr. Suman shot back. What do you call staying by her side for 5 days without food or rest? What do you call risking herself to protect someone weaker? If that's not love, what is? The council murmured among themselves. Some seemed moved. Others remained skeptical. Sergeant Jiwon was called to speak next. She told them about Hana, about her kindness, her patience, about how she had raised Bora with care and discipline. Hana didn't create a weapon, Jiwon said. She raised a companion, a friend. And Bora has proven over and over that she can be trusted. She's had opportunities to hurt people, to kill, but she never has. She chooses peace. Until she doesn't, another counselor said. What happens when she reaches full size? When her instincts become too strong? When she decides she's done being gentle? No one had an answer for that. Lieutenant Daeho showed more footage, Bora stopping herself from stepping on a sleeping soldier, Bora carefully taking food from Yuna's hand, Bora sitting perfectly still while children from the civilian section petted her scales through a fence. She has more self-control than most soldiers I've trained, Daeho said, and she's only 2 years old. Imagine what she could become with more guidance. More time. The debate continued for hours. The council was split. Some wanted Bora terminated immediately. Others wanted to study her. A few thought she should be kept but contained, locked away where she couldn't hurt anyone. None of those options sounded like life to Commander Kwan. Then the alarm started screaming. Red lights flooded the assembly hall. The emergency system blared warnings in 3 languages. Breach, hostile forces, multiple contacts. Commander Kwan's communicator erupted with voices. Pirates. At least 20 heavily armed. They're heading for the medical bay. The medical bay? Commander Kwan's blood went cold. Why there? Sir, we intercepted their communications. They're here for the Krell. They want to steal her. Weaponize her. The council members stood in shock. Commander Kwan was already running. Daeho and Jiwon right behind him. The tribunal was forgotten. Now they had to survive. The pirates had planned their attack well. They hit during the tribunal when most of the garrison's leadership was in one place. Their target was specific. Get the Krell, get out, fast and brutal. They blasted through the outer corridors with military-grade plasma weapons. Station security tried to stop them but was overwhelmed. The pirates were professionals, mercenaries. They knew what they were doing. At the medical bay, Bora sensed danger before anyone else. Her head lifted, her body tensed. That low growl started in her throat. The soldiers on vigil grabbed their weapons. They had heard the alarms, seen the alert. They formed a defensive line in front of the medical bay doors. No one gets through, Jiwan shouted. Protect Hana. Protect the bay. Bora moved then. For the first time in 6 days, she left her post by the doors. But she didn't run away. She positioned herself in the corridor, right in the path any attacker would have to take. She became a living wall between the threat and Hana. The pirates rounded the corner and stopped dead. They had expected resistance. They had not expected an Alpha Krell ready for battle. Is that it? One pirate breathed. That's our target? Take it alive! The leader shouted. The client wants it breathing. They opened fire. Plasma bolts lit up the corridor. Bora roared, a sound that shook the walls. The bolts hit her scales. Most bounced off. She was still young, but her hide was already tough as armor. She charged forward. Not to kill, to stop. She swept her tail, knocking weapons from hands. She used her head to bash pirates into walls. Hard enough to stun, not hard enough to kill. Even in battle, Hana's lessons held. The garrison soldiers rallied behind her. They used Bora as cover, firing at the pirates from behind her massive form. Together, human and Krell, they held the corridor. But more pirates came. And these ones had brought special weapons. Energy nets designed to capture large creatures. Stun rods powerful enough to drop a tank now. The pirate leader shouted. 3 nets launched at once. They wrapped around Bora, crackling with electricity. She screamed, a sound of pure agony. The voltage was enormous. She collapsed, her body seizing. No, Jiwan screamed. She ran forward, trying to pull the nets off, but the electricity shocked her too. She fell back, gasping. The pirates moved in. They had her. They could drag her out, load her on their ship, and be gone before more security arrived. Then the medical bay doors opened. Hana stood there, holding onto the door frame for support. Her legs were barely healed. She wore a medical gown. Bandages covered half her body. But her eyes burned with fury. Get away from her, Hana said. Her voice was weak but carried clearly. The pirate leader laughed. Or what? You can barely stand. Hana pulled something from her pocket. A small device. A training remote she had kept from her time with Bora. But she didn't press any buttons. She just spoke one word. In Korean, protect. The electricity should have kept Bora down. But she heard that voice, that word. The one voice in the entire galaxy that mattered more than pain, more than fear, more than anything. Bora roared and stood up. The nets tore apart. Electricity arced off her scales. She was hurt, bleeding from a dozen small wounds. But she was angry. The pirates ran. They had expected a creature. They had not expected one that fought through impossible pain because someone she loved was in danger. Bora chased them down the corridor. She didn't kill them. She just made sure they couldn't come back. Broken weapons, torn armor, pirates running in terror. But one pirate had stayed behind. He had a plasma rifle, and it was aimed at Hana. If I can't have the creature, nobody gets it, he snarled. Jiwan tried to raise her weapon but was too slow. The pirate's finger tightened on the trigger. Bora appeared behind him like a purple shadow. Her jaws closed around his arm, gentle enough not to sever it but hard enough to make him drop the weapon. She flung him down the corridor after his friends. Then she turned to Hana. Her human was swaying, about to collapse. Bora moved fast, sliding her head under Hana's body, supporting her, keeping her from falling. Good girl, Hana whispered, tears streaming down her face. Such a good girl. Commander Quan arrived with more soldiers. They found the corridor destroyed but secure. The pirates were fleeing back to their ships. The medical bay was safe, and Hana was sitting on the floor holding Bora's head in her lap, both of them bleeding but alive. Dr. Minji rushed out, screaming about patients who shouldn't be out of bed. But even she stopped when she saw them together. Bora's massive form curled protectively around Hana's small one, the bond between them visible to everyone. Counselor Round walked slowly down the corridor. He looked at the destruction, at the wounded but victorious defenders, at the creature that had just proven her loyalty in blood and pain. He knelt down next to them. His old hands reached out, touching Bora's scales. She looked at him with those yellow eyes, tired but alert. "I lost my family to a Krell," Ryan said quietly. "I have hated them for 40 years. But you—" He looked at Bora, really looked at her. "You are not that Krell, you are something new. Something better." He stood and faced Commander Quan. "The tribunal is over. The creature stays. She has earned her place here. She has earned her life." The other council members who had followed him nodded in agreement. Even those who had been opposed couldn't deny what they had witnessed. Hana closed her eyes, relief washing over her. "Thank you," she whispered. Dr. Minji finally took charge. "Everyone out. Both of my patients need medical attention now." As they carried Hana back inside, Bora followed. Dr. Minji didn't stop her this time. She just sighed and made room for the massive creature to lie down next to Hana's bed. "Your family," Dr. Minji said to Bora. "I understand that now, so you can stay." 2 weeks passed. The medical bay had become Bora's second home. Dr. Minji had given up trying to keep them separated. Whenever Hana slept, Bora curled up beside the bed, her massive body barely fitting in the space. When Hana was awake, they talked quietly, Hana's hand resting on Bora's scales. The wounds from the pirate attack had healed on both of them. Bora's shoulder bore a scar now, a line of darker purple scales where the plasma bolt had burned through. She wore it proudly like a medal. Hana had matching scars on her legs and ribs. They had survived together. Again, Commander Quan stood in his office reading the official decision from Central Command. It had arrived that morning, transmitted across 3 systems. He smiled as he read it. "Lieutenant Deho," he called through his communicator, "gather everyone in the assembly hall. I have news." An hour later, the garrison filled the hall. Soldiers from every species stood together. They had fought together during the pirate attack. That changed things, made them closer. In the front row, Hana sat in a wheelchair with Bora lying beside her. Jiwon stood behind them, hand on Hana's shoulder. Commander Quan took the stage. "I've received the official decision regarding Bora," he announced. The hall went silent. After reviewing all evidence, including her actions during the attack, Central Command has granted her special status. He paused, letting that sink in. Bora is officially assigned to Corporal Hana Park's unit as a combat auxiliary. She will receive training, medical care, and full protection under military law. Cheers erupted through the hall. Soldiers stomped their feet and clapped. Bora's head lifted, confused by all the noise. Hana was crying, her face buried in Bora's neck. "Furthermore," Commander Quan continued, "Corporal Park is being promoted to sergeant and given a new assignment. She will establish and lead the Interspecies Companion Initiative. Her mission is to research and develop ethical bonding programs between humans and non-traditional species." More cheers. Jiwon hugged Hana from behind, both of them laughing and crying. "Dr. Sumin Han will remain on this station as lead xenobiologist," the commander added. "She will work with Sergeant Park to document Bora's development and create training protocols for future programs." Dr. Sumin stood and bowed to the applause. She caught Hana's eye and smiled. This was bigger than one creature. This was the beginning of something new, something important. "Finally," Commander Quan said, his voice turning serious, "I want to acknowledge what happened here. You all kept vigil. You all defended this station. You all chose to see beyond fear and prejudice. You proved that family isn't about what species you are. It's about who you choose to stand beside." He looked directly at Bora. "Welcome to the garrison. You've earned your place here." That evening, they held a small ceremony. Nothing official, just the soldiers who had been part of the vigil. They gathered outside what used to be Bora's post by the medical bay. Someone had painted a small memorial on the wall. It showed a purple Krell curled around a human, both sleeping peacefully. Underneath were words in Korean and common. "Family chooses you." Private Yuna brought out food. Real celebration food, not military rations. There was meat for Bora, cooked perfectly, and treats for everyone else. They sat in groups, talking and laughing. Bora moved among them carefully, accepting pats and scratches. She was gentle, always aware of her size and strength. Private Hyon, the young Vraxi who had been terrified at first, now sat leaning against Bora's side while eating his dinner. My siblings won't believe this when I tell them, he said. They think I'm crazy for staying here. But I couldn't leave. Not after seeing her wait like that. None of us could, Jiwan agreed. That's why we stayed. She showed us what loyalty really means. Lieutenant Daiho was still recording everything. This is history, he said, his device capturing the scene. The first Alpha Krell to integrate into civilized society. The first human to bond with an apex predator. The scholars will study this for generations. Can they study it quietly? Hana joked. I just want to get back to work. Back to normal. This is normal now, Dr. Minji said, gesturing at Bora. A 2-ton Krell sleeping in corridors and eating from the mess hall. Our new normal is very strange. Everyone laughed. Even Bora made that rumbling purr sound that meant she was happy. Later, when most had left, Counselor Rayon approached Hana. The old Vraxi moved slowly, his age showing in every step. He stood before her and Bora for a long moment, just looking. I need to tell you something, he finally said. When I lost my family, I swore I would never forgive Krells. Never see them as anything but monsters. I carried that hate for 40 years, his voice cracked. But you and your creature, you've shown me I was wrong. Not about what happened. That was real. That pain is real. But I was wrong to think all Krells must be like that. Your Bora is proof that even the most dangerous can choose to be gentle. He placed his hand on Bora's head. The creature stayed perfectly still, sensing this moment was important. Thank you, Rayon whispered, for teaching an old soldier that hate doesn't have to last forever. That change is possible, even for creatures like her. Even for people like me, Hana took his hand. Bora thanks you too, for giving her a chance, for seeing who she really is. Rayon nodded and walked away, his shoulders lighter than they had been in decades. The next morning, Hana was cleared for full duty. Dr. Minji had made her promise to take things slow, but Hana was ready. She was tired of beds and wheelchairs. She wanted to work, to move forward. Her first assignment was setting up the new Interspecies Companion Initiative. She had an office now, a small space near the training grounds. Bora barely fit through the door, but she managed. The creature curled up in the corner while Hana worked at her desk, planning programs and writing protocols. Dr. Suman visited daily with new research. They discovered that Bora was still learning, still developing. Her intelligence grew every week. She was learning new words in multiple languages now, not just Korean. She understood complex commands. She could even solve simple puzzles. She's going to be smarter than most of us, Dr. Suman said, watching Bora figure out how to open a locked container to get a treat inside. We need to keep challenging her. Keep teaching her. Otherwise, she'll get bored. Good thing I have lesson plans, Hana said, pulling out a thick folder. We're going to learn mathematics next. I want to see if she can understand counting and basic addition. You're going to teach a Krell math? Dr. Suman looked amazed. Why not? Hana smiled. Everyone said I couldn't teach her loyalty, or love, or restraint, but I did. Math should be easy compared to that. Word spread about the Interspecies Companion Initiative. Scientists from across the galaxy sent requests to visit. Universities wanted to send students. Even military commanders from other stations asked about starting similar programs. But Hana was careful. She reviewed every request personally. She only accepted people who understood the most important rule. These weren't weapons. These weren't tools. These were living beings who deserved respect and care. We're not creating super soldiers, Hana said in her first official presentation. We're building bridges, showing that species who were enemies can become friends, can become family. 3 months later, the first candidates arrived, 2 volunteers and 2 creatures, a human engineer with a young rock lizard from the Tellus system, and a Vraxi scout with a cloud stalker from the high atmosphere of Nemos Prime. Both creatures were considered dangerous. Both had been raised with patience and care. Hana and Bora met them at the landing bay. The new arrival stared at Bora in awe. She had grown in 3 months. Still young but already imposing. Her purple scales gleamed in the station lights. Her yellow eyes watched everything with sharp intelligence. Don't be afraid, Hana said to them. Bora's gentle. Watch. She gave a command in Korean. Bora lowered her massive head to ground level, making herself smaller, less threatening. The rock lizard, barely the size of a large dog, approached cautiously. It sniffed at Bora. Then, surprisingly, it made a friendly chirping sound. Bora responded with a soft rumble. Not a threat, a greeting. See? Hana smiled. They can learn from each other. That's what this is about. Learning, growing, becoming better together. The program grew. Slowly, carefully, but it grew. More volunteers. More creatures. More success stories. Not every pairing worked. Some creatures couldn't adapt. Some humans didn't have the patience. But enough succeeded to prove the concept was valid. A year after the pirate attack, Station Epsilon 7 had changed completely. Creatures once considered monsters now walked the corridors freely. Children played with them under supervision. Soldiers trained alongside them. The station had become a living example of what was possible when fear gave way to understanding. Hana stood on an observation deck looking out at the stars. Bora stood beside her, now nearly 3 times the size she had been. Full-grown. Magnificent. Deadly if she chose to be. But she chose otherwise. She chose to be Hana's companion. Her protector. Her family. Other soldiers joined them. Jiwan and Deho and Yuna. The ones who had kept vigil. The ones who had believed first. Remember when we all slept in the corridor? Jiwan said, laughing. That was only a year ago. Feels like a lifetime. We changed the galaxy that week, Deho said. Every species in the network is talking about us. About what we proved here. We didn't prove anything, Hana said softly. Bora did. She proved that love is stronger than instinct. That choice matters more than nature. That family is what you make it. Yuna scratched behind Bora's ear, a spot the creature loved. Do you think others can do what you did, really? I think, Hana said, that we've been underestimating everyone. Humans, Krells, all species. We put them in boxes. Said this is what you are, this is what you'll always be. But that's wrong. Anyone can change. Anyone can grow, if they're given the chance. If someone believes in them. She looked up at Bora, who looked back with those intelligent yellow eyes. She was supposed to be a monster. Instead, she became a guardian. Not because I forced her. Because I showed her another way. Because I loved her. And she loved me back. Behind them, the station continued its rhythms. Soldiers from a dozen species working together. Creatures once feared, now trusted. Children laughing as they played with beings that should have terrified them. And in the center of it all, a purple Krell sat peacefully next to her human, proving that the impossible was only impossible until someone decided to try. That night, as Hana prepared for sleep, Bora curled up beside her bed. It was their ritual now. Every night, the same positions, the same comfort. Thank you, Hana whispered in Korean, for everything, for staying, for protecting me, for being my family. Bora's response was that deep rumbling purr, the sound of contentment, of love. The Garrison slept peacefully that night, not outside the infirmary door anymore, but throughout the station, humans and creatures resting side by side, no longer afraid, no longer alone. They had brought an alpha pup to the infirmary expecting tragedy. They got a miracle instead, and that miracle changed everything.